Afternoon, everyone. I will now call today's meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to order. We would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash, unceded First Nation, and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis peoples and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters. The purpose of this meeting is to review applications for severance or minor variances as they apply to certain lands within the municipality of Meaford. Let me first start by introducing the members of this committee. On my far right, Mr. David Cramp, Mr. Ed Ormsby, and on my far left, Mr. Peter Toval, and I am Terry Williams, chair of this committee. The municipal planning staff in attendance, Denise McCarl, manager of planning services, Elena Fascinato, planner, and Gabe Pucci, development services assistant and secretary treasurer for this committee. This committee is legally required to make decisions that conform to the Provincial Planning Act, as well as the existing county and local official plans. Based on those documents, as well as any additional relevant correspondence, the municipal planning staff have prepared detailed reports and provide this committee with their recommendations. The community is encouraged to share their thoughts about any proposed application. For those who may be joining us via Zoom or are here in person, you will have the opportunity to speak should you wish to do so. I will call upon you at the appropriate time. It is also appropriate to ask any questions that you may have as it relates to these applications. Your constructive comments to this committee will help us to make informed decisions on these applications. The applicant or their representatives will also have the opportunity to respond to any comments or questions raised by either the committee members or the public. Anyone wishing to receive notice of the decision of any of the applications being heard today may do so by calling 519-538-1060, extension 1120, or through an email request to planning@meaford.ca. Gabe, are there any other changes to the agenda?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Have the committee members had an opportunity to review the minutes of the last meeting? Are there any changes necessary to be made? May I have a motion then to accept the minutes as written? David, and seconded by Peter. All in favor? That motion is carried. Before we begin the public meeting, I must ask if any of the members of this committee have a direct personal or pecuniary interest or of a general nature thereof as it relates to the files we're about to review today. No. Seeing none. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment will consider an application for consent and minor variance under Section 45 of the Planning Act for the lands known as 50 Marshall Street West. The requirement to hold this meeting is that there must have been at least 14 days notice as prescribed by the Planning Act. Gabe, can you please confirm that the public notice was provided at least 14 days prior to this meeting?
Through you, Mr. Chair, notice was given on October 10, 2024, giving more than the required 14 days notice for the consent and 10 days notice for the minor variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you please summarize the application and provide us when any comments have been received?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is a long one because it's two applications in one, a consent and a minor variance. So the application requests municipal consent to sever a parcel of land with an existing dwelling and measuring approximately 808 square meter, 808 square meters in size with approximately 52 meters of frontage on Marshall Street West. The purpose of the severance is to demolish the existing dwelling and create two new residential building lots. If approved, the severed lot will be approximately 404 square meters in size with approximately 20 meters of frontage on Marshall Street West. The retained parcel will then be approximately 404 square meters in size with approximately 31 meters of frontage on Victoria Crescent. The subject lands are municipally zoned as residential 3, R3, to accommodate building envelopes on the severed and retained parcel. Minor variance application A07 2024 requests relief from table 6.2.1 of zoning bylaw 60/2009 for the following 7 variances. For the retained lot, the first one is to permit a lot size of 404.3 square meters, where a minimum of 450 square meters is required. Second, to reduce the front yard setback to 4 meters, where 7.5 meters is required. 3, to reduce the exterior side yard setback to 1.72 meters, where 4 meters is required. And 4, to reduce the rear yard setback to 1.2 meters, where 7.5 meters is required. In the severed lot, to permit a lot size of 404.3 square meters, where a minimum of 450 square meters is required. 7, to reduce the front yard setback to 4.4 meters, where 7.5 meters is required. And then last, to reduce the rear yard setback to 4.81 meters, where 7.5 meters is required. Regarding comments, the comments with no concern or objection were received by Enbridge Gas, Niagara Escarpment Commission, Hydro One, and Gray Sobel Conservation Authority. And Gray County commented, like, provided a qualified engineer is consulted to ensure that the proposed development will not be located on top of the abandoned petroleum well. County planning staff have no concern with the subject application. Thank you.
Elena, are there any additional comments on this file?
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. So for the severance application, so the focus of the urban area is for residential growth and development. We're seeing at the provincial level down the need for housing. And our local policies do support this type of residential infill for our urban living area. And so for the minor variance application, the total number of variances requested is more than we typically see. That being said, there is no limit to the number of variances requested so long as it fits in with the 4 tests for a minor variance. And as detailed within the recommendation report, staff feel that this application is in conformance with our policies, our bylaw, that it's a good fit for the neighborhood and that it will not have a negative impact on the surrounding area. I just wanted to note that a condition has been added to the recommended condition of approval for the minor variance. And it's just to note that the minor variance cannot go forward if the severance is not approved. So that was included in the recommended conditions for the severance, just to ensure that the approval of each is contingent on each other. So thank you.
Thank you. Does any members of the committee have any questions with respect to this file? Planning staff? I have one question as it relates to servicing. Are both lots serviced off Marshall or Victoria, or is one off one and one off the other?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So one will be using the existing services. So the severed lot that will be fronting on Marshall Street will use the existing service there. And then the retained lot will now front on Victoria Crescent, and that will use existing services there. And the applicant did provide an engineering report showing that, and our environmental services department confirmed that it's possible and it's okay.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Does the applicant wish to speak on this file? If you can identify yourself, please, and
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Boardman. I'm the agent on behalf of the applicants for our application to sever and for the minor variances, and we'll welcome any questions you have.
okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so thank you. Is there any members of the public online? Okay, so there was no concern from any of the neighbors with respect to,
Through you, Mr. Chair, we haven't received any comment from external sources or from third party or citizens. We only receive comments from the institutions and the agencies that we usually receive.
and when were the neighbors notified? Because I mean, typically it's by mail.
Yeah.
Were they hand delivered notices?
Every month we send mail. When we do the notice to you via email, we also send mail where to let them know that there will be a meeting for the application. And this was sent on October 10th.
But do you have the emails for the neighbors?
We send mail, like letters. on
Yeah,
October
but I'm
10th.
concerned with the postal strike.
No, this
Yes,
was October 10th.
Yeah, it was sent out prior to Canada Post going on
Yeah,
strike.
it was sent prior because this was done
Yeah.
supposed to be happening in the previous meeting and. mail went
But
out.
I'm concerned that, for instance, somebody might have been online for that meeting and then we did not discuss this file. So the question is, would the neighbors have notice other than the posted notice that the meeting was going to be today?
That's actually, we haven't recirculated that.
So through you, Mr. Chair, but I understand the question. I had that question as well, but my understanding is nobody registered for that meeting. So that was why I think with confidence, staff were satisfied that people had no particular interest in the file, that they had the ability to register for that meeting. So they would actually have to reach out to staff and we would give them the link and
Right.
nobody had pre-registered.
Addition to you, Mr. Chair, in addition to what Denise just correctly provided, like I keep a record of every member of the public or institution who want to register for the meeting, and I have a table for last meeting, and they were all registered for B13, B17, and B18 2024. Yes.
Thank you. And do you know when the notice was posted at the property?
Gabe, I'll lean on you for the exact date that the application was, or the sign was picked up, and it was posted that day.
Yeah, the sign was picked up on I think it was November 10th or
Yeah, I think
November
November.
9th, and came your customer came, the applicant,
Okay,
the owner
so
came. So
that's more than 2 weeks. I think that's sufficient in the case of postal strike. Thank you. Are there any further comments from any of the committee members? Can you please show the suggested decision and conditions of consent? Yep.
proposed dwellings be sited substantially as shown on the site plans included in Schedule B and C, and the consent of the consent to sever B16 2024 is approved, and the appeal periods are passed with no appeals or other appropriate zoning approval to address any zoning. And of course, the recommended decision is that the Committee of Adjustment grant minor variance application number A07 2024 to permit the development of the lands in accordance with the site sketch. And for application B16 2024, the recommended decision is the Committee of Adjustment grant provisional consent for application B16 2024 with the following conditions. There are 6 conditions. That the applicant meets all the requirements of the municipality, financial or otherwise, for the certificate of consent to be issued. Number 2, that the applicant shall provide municipal water and sanitary services to the subject lands prior to final approval of this consent and their own cost, including installation, any upgrades and connection to ensure each lot is appropriately serviced, or if not attainable within 2 years, that the applicant shall enter into a consent agreement with the municipality registered on title to the lands to address municipal water and sewer servicing to the satisfaction of the municipality. The consent agreement shall outline obligations of the owner to provide for installation of municipal water and municipal sanitary services prior to any further development of the lands. Third one, that the existing single detached dwelling of the subject lands is demolished prior to final consent approval. The fourth is the payment of cash in lieu of parkland dedication for the several lands is required. Fifth, that the minor variance AO7 2024 is approved and the appeal period has passed with no appeals or other zoning or other appropriate zoning approval to address any zoning. And the last one, the 6th one, is that the final reference plan be provided to the municipality for review to the satisfaction of the municipality. Thank you.
Any comments from committee members, questions? I think based on the fact that these both have to be approved, we should, like a motion on approval of the, severance first. David and Peter, all in favor? And may I have a motion to approve the minor variances as listed? Ed and Peter, all in favor? Both of those are carried. Gabe, could you please outline the next steps for us?
Through you, Mr. Chair. The applicant will receive an email with the decision and notice of appeal period, and the sign can be taken down from the property. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sign off on that. The next meeting is scheduled for December the 18th, 3 o'clock. That is still pending, but where possible, please keep that date open. Ed, I understand you cannot be there, but thank you.